You don't hate your pain. That's the cruel joke. You're not scared of being broken. You're scared of what happens when you're not. Because if you heal, you lose your excuses. You lose your identity. You lose the familiar comfort of, this is just how I am. And that terrifies you more than suffering ever could. Let's talk about the dark psychology of avoiding your own healing. You tell yourself you're not ready. You say you're overthinking it. You convince yourself it's not that deep. But your brain is a master manipulator. It knows that pain is predictable. It knows anxiety feels familiar. It knows overthinking feels like control. So it keeps you trapped where you are. Not because it hates you, but because it's trying to protect you from change. Funny how your own mind becomes your prison guard, right? You scroll instead of reflecting. You distract instead of confronting. You laugh instead of crying. You sleep instead of healing. And you call it coping. No, it's avoidance. Pretty psychological avoidance wrapped in a socially acceptable bow. Let's be honest. You don't actually want peace. You like chaos. Because chaos feels like home. Silence feels dangerous. Stillness feels empty. Healing feels unfamiliar. At least in pain, you know who you are. You know how to be the overthinker, the broken one, the misunderstood one. But who are you without all of that? That question scares you more than trauma ever did. That's why you avoid it. You avoid journaling. You avoid therapy. You avoid deep conversations. You avoid solitude. Not because they don't work, but because they do. And once they start working, you can't go back to blaming the world for everything. Your brain is addicted to suffering. Literally addicted. Studies show the brain releases familiar chemicals even when the emotion is negative. So when you've lived in pain long enough, it becomes your comfort zone. Your nervous system gets bored when things are calm. So it creates problems. Drama. Overthinking. Imaginary scenarios. Because peace feels suspicious to someone who grew up in chaos. Isn't that ironic? You pray for peace. Then panic during silence. You want healing, but sabotage the process. You complain about your life, then refuse to change. You don't need enemies. You are extremely efficient at ruining yourself. And the scariest part? You're self-aware. You know what's wrong. You know what you should fix. You know where it all started. But you still don't move. Why? Because healing isn't just painful. It's boring. Healing means no more drama to talk about. No more emotional roller coasters. No more intense late-night overthinking sessions. Just stability. And your traumatized brain hates stability. Chaos feels productive. Overthinking feels intelligent. Pain feels meaningful. Healing feels plain. So you avoid it. You stay in situations that hurt you. You replay old memories like your brain is a torture playlist. You stalk people who broke you. You imagine conversations that will never happen. All because suffering gives you a strange sense of identity. You don't just have trauma. You've built a personality around it. And letting go of it feels like deleting yourself. That's the dark part no one talks about. Healing feels like a small death. You lose the old you, the dramatic you, the hyper-aware you, the deeply broken you. And even if that version of you was miserable, at least it was familiar. So your brain says, stay here, it's safer, it's known, it's predictable. Not because it loves you, because it fears the unknown. That's the real reason you avoid your own healing. Not laziness, not weakness, fear. Fear of change, fear of boredom, fear of normality, fear of who you become without pain. Imagine waking up without emotional chaos. No racing thoughts, no deep sadness, no dramatic internal monologue, just quiet. For you, that sounds peaceful. And also terrifying, because silence forces you to meet yourself. No distractions, no coping mechanisms, no escape routes, just you. And you don't trust yourself enough for that yet. So instead, you stay busy. You stay stressed. You stay wounded. Because as long as you're broken, you don't have to be responsible for becoming better. It's easier to say, this is just how I am, than, I'm scared to change. But deep down, you know the truth. You're not stuck. You're hiding. Not from the world, from yourself. You avoid healing because healing would expose who you are without pain. And you're not sure you'd recognize that person. You'd have to stop romanticizing your sadness. Stop bonding with people over trauma. Stop using pain as personality. And that feels like losing something important. But here's the darkest truth of all. You don't actually fear healing. You fear peace. Because peace means no more excuses. No more chaos to blame. No more reasons to stay small. Just you. And what you choose to become. And that responsibility? That's the scariest thing of all. So you stay wounded. You stay overthinking. You stay avoiding. Not because you can't heal, but because a quiet, healed version of you feels like a stranger you don't trust yet. And deep down, you wonder, if you finally healed, who would you be without your pain? And that's the cruelest trick your mind plays on you. It keeps you safe in suffering, while convincing you that safety is pain. So maybe one day you'll confront it. Maybe one day you'll look at yourself without fear. Maybe one day you'll choose growth over comfort, and silence over chaos. But until then, enjoy your familiar misery, because it's yours, and you've become very good at loving it, even when it slowly devours you.